father passed away 12 years ago. He was a veteran of World War II, a hard worker, and one of the sweetest men I've ever known. He was funny, hardworking, and caring. One thing he was not was a motorcycle rider. As far as I know, he never even sat on a motorcycle. But the lessons he taught me in his own little ways have influenced many parts of my life, including my riding. He didn't know when I was a kid that I'd fall in love with motorcycles, but I think he knew that what he taught me would apply to whatever passions I pursued. Really, what he taught me was to be a good person and to laugh. Since Father's Day is a month away, I wanted to invite you to help me create an upcoming video, a sort of tribute to the things our fathers taught us about motorcycling and about life. I'll get us started, but later I'll show you how you can take part in the Father's Day video. I think it could be something really special. Anyway, about my dad. When I was 16 years old, I was learning how to drive. Truth be told, I'd been driving a friend's car for a year or so before that, because my friend was a terrible driver. When we'd go into the city, I'd drive, without a license. It was safer that way. When it came time for my dad to teach me, we got into my mom's 4-door sedan and hit the road. It was mostly uneventful, and if you knew my dad, you'd know he wasn't easily frightened. So on we went, down the road. Half an hour or so in, we came to an intersection, one that I blew right through without so much as a glance to either side. I was pretty shocked when my dad, who hardly ever raised his voice, barked right at me. I was confused. I had the right of way, and I told him so. Then he spoke the following words, which I will never, as long as I live, forget. He said, "The right of way doesn't matter when you're dead." It shook the hell out of me. He was so spot on right. In my youthful ignorance, I didn't consider that stop signs mean nothing to some people. This, of course, is even more important to us as motorcyclists. And most of us who've been around the block a few times are fully aware that the right of way is meaningless. The thing is, and I think my dad knew it when he said it, this goes way beyond driving and motorcycling. It's a life lesson, really. Being right, having the right of way or whatever, doesn't protect you from the consequences of your actions, whether or not you have the right of way. My dad was a kind man. He ran a used furniture shop. Some might call it a junk shop, and I don't think he'd be offended by that. That junk fed us and provided us a good life. I like to joke that he was a terrible businessman because he gave a lot of stuff away, or sold it for less than he paid for it. But it wasn't because he was bad at business. It was because he was both good at business and good at being human. If you had nothing and came to his shop for a bed, chances were you were leaving with the bed. If he had crutches and you needed crutches, there was a good chance you were leaving with a free pair of crutches. That's the kind of man he was. It may be that I'm drawn to our motorcycling community because I see kindness like this all the time. When I bought my Bonneville, the man who sold it to me gave me a great deal. It's only recently that I've come to realize what a great deal it actually was. I'm certain he took a loss and gave me the deal because he knew this bike would mean a lot to me. Regardless of whether he's a rich man or not, I think it was more important to him that he changed someone's life than it was to make a few extra bucks. And that's the kind of man my dad was. And I see a lot of that in our community. I try to be that kind of person by taking care to make sure our fellow riders are okay when I see them pulled off the road. I try to be kind to newer folks joining group rides and hang back with them when they inevitably stall their bike or fall behind. Dad taught me, without ever saying it, that your kindness will always be rewarded with kindness returned to you when you most need it. If there's one lesson my dad tried to teach me, but I still have trouble with, it's not putting things off to tomorrow that you can do today. As a motorcyclist, it's a deadly serious lesson, and sometimes I have to force myself to remember it. Chain maintenance, tire inspections, even keeping the tank topped off. All these things are easily put off until it's too late, and when it's too late, it can be disastrous. When I was a kid, I had a horrible habit of putting things off. Things like cleaning my room, or doing my homework, or practicing my drums. My dad wasn't a tough dad, but he knew a thing or two about a thing or two. When he'd tell me not to put things off until tomorrow, I think his message was bigger than just, go clean your room. I think he was reminding me that life is short, and in the same way you shouldn't just kick the can down the road when it comes to chores, you shouldn't put off your happiness for another day, because there might not be time on another day, and there might not be another day. That's why I spend so much time on my Bonneville. Who knows what tomorrow will bring? Why put it off? Maybe the lesson I value most from my dad wasn't a lesson at all, but a gift. See, my dad was a silly guy, and that's one of the reasons why so many people loved him. A lot of times he could be heard singing these crazy made-up songs that were almost 100% nonsense. They were hilarious. The great part about it is he felt comfortable enough in his own skin to sing out, make up words, whatever, and just never cared what anyone thought. Motorcyclists know how exposed we feel sometimes when we're riding. We sometimes take pains to look the part, and for some of us, it's important to appear as serious riders. That's all fine and good, but at the same time, we're on these things to have fun. When I'm cruising down a long stretch, I have no issues with singing silly songs to myself, or doing my worst to sing along to whatever music might be coming through my headset. I've been known to dance a little bit on my saddle at stoplights. I don't care. I don't care what anyone thinks. I do this at my work desk as well, and even though I work from home, I was known to dance a little bit when I worked in an office as well. Luckily, my coworkers have a similar outlook on life. And luckily, I have a very patient wife who listens to and often joins in my very odd, made-up, and silly songs. When I'm on my motorcycle, I don't care what anyone thinks about my gear, my bike, my song and dance routine. It was all a gift from my dad. Does the thought of no one showing up to your funeral bother you? I'll be the first to admit it's something I think about often. When my dad passed, people showed up. A lot of people. But I wasn't surprised. I can't imagine my father spent a second of his life thinking about how many folks would show up to his funeral, but he lived like he did. By that I mean, he went out of his way to be kind and dependable to everyone. He was a good friend. The motorcycling community is diverse in many respects, and if you allow yourself to be free of preconceptions and prejudices, you'll become part of a community that'll show up. I don't mean to your funeral, I mean to your barbecue, to your birthday party, or just for a ride into the country. If you treat people with respect, no matter who they are, like my dad did, you'll surround yourself with people who adore you. You won't be alone, now and in the end. Motorcycling gives you endless chances to be kind and to be a good friend. If my dad rode motorcycles, he would have loved it, and you probably would have loved him. I want to do something special for Father's Day, and I'd love your help. Did your dad teach you something about life that you carry through to your riding? Big or small, I'd love to hear your story, and I know others would too. I set up a service where you can record a short message with your story. I'll pick the best ones and put them together as a Father's Day tribute video over the next month. I don't know if this will work, but if it does, it could be something really great. It doesn't cost you anything except for your time, so come and tell your story. Let's create something beautiful. I'll put info down in the description. Happy riding, and I'll see you on the road. And if your dad's still around, give him a call.